Oops, I had double sources there. It should sound better now. Okay. Hello, YouTube. We are live. Hi, Banana. Hi, Sean. Let me pin those messages. Pin. Yes, I posted on the Discord just the other day, yesterday, that we are making progress with the goal to unlock the YouTube Partner Program. And for this channel, in terms of the first unlocking level 1 of the YouTube Partner Program, the first watch hour goal is 3,000, and we are just over 1,900. So we're almost 2/3 of the way there. And yeah, so any Twitch viewers that want to hop over there, it makes such a huge difference, such a huge difference. Hi, Galen. Oh, that's Rose. Hi, Rose. Thank you so much for opening up the stream on YouTube. Aw, Banana, thank you. Thank you. We are picking up again with more of the hidden staircase. Let me move this mush pouch out of the shop. Yes, we have been reading The Hidden Staircase, a Nancy Drew mystery, and we are about to start chapter 10. Now, wherever you're watching, there should be a pinned comment, or down in the description there should be a link to where you can download or access this book for absolutely free from Project Gutenberg. Amazing resource. If you would like to read along with me. Okay. Let me just open up these chats while we are doing the recap so that I can more easily read YouTube chats. So, what is going on so far? Well, the main thing that's happening right now is that Nancy met a lovely old lady who lives alone with her twin sister in a very creepy old house called the Mansion. And they are very sure that it is haunted. Well, no, that one of them is very practical and is like, no, ghosts don't exist. But even she's starting to wonder. And either way, they're very freaked out. Things are moving, going missing. They're hearing sounds. They're seeing shadows. It honestly seems very clear that there's a squatter, but and I think that Nancy knows that, but she hasn't said that out loud. I don't know why. I don't know if she's trying to like not scare the old ladies, but she hasn't been like, so I think you've got a squatter. But she has gone to stay at the mansion with the older sisters, you know, and just do some inspecticating. And Carson says, yeah, totally, Nancy. I fully support your teenage dreams to become a sleuth. Just, you know, take my revolver. So now Nancy has a gun. And she's come to stay at the mansion, and that's where we've left off. Now, other important information about the story so far is that there is a man named Nathan Gombe. Nathan, who is pissed off at Carson Drew. Nathan feels that he's been swindled by Carson, and who is a lawyer, and the Land Commission, because they bought his land to build a train track through, and after everything, after it's all been built, he decides, way too late in the process, that it was actually worth a lot more than he agreed to sell it for. Which, like, look, that does suck when you're like, damn, I could have gotten more for that. But, like, the deal has been made. I don't see how he's gonna make any progress with that. Now, so far, there isn't anything to suggest there is any link between these two incidents, the haunted house and this angry man. However, it's not a super long book, so I have to assume that there is a link between them. Hi, Peace All Night. Hello, hello. Do you still have that pretty drink of yours? This is what I'm drinking right now. It's just flavored water. But if you like this awesome cup that says lit, you can get it on my merch shop. Which actually will be one of the benefits to when we unlock the YouTube partner program in the first level. I'll be able to link the shop, which will be awesome. Vampire show enough blood drink. Look. Flavored water. Aren't all drinks just flavored water? An argument could be made. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Is the blood of virgins? No. I don't judge people's worth based on the social fabrication of virginity, okay? Your blood doesn't just become less valuable. Your life doesn't become less valuable just because you're not a virgin anymore. That's patriarchal bullshit, and it has no place in my witchcraft. Okay. How many books have you read so far? Oh, wait, what is the final count? Hold on. Let's see. We are at... This is book number 67. Not counting all the, like, short stories and fairy tales and mythology and stuff that we've read. That's just counting, like, the novels that we've read. This is book number 67 that we've read since I started streaming myself reading books. And this is just garlic bread. 6, 7. Oh my god. No, that's genuinely a coincidence. No, I mean, it was right there. Okay, so let's get into it. Your brain rot kicked in. It's okay. It happens to the best of us, man. Leaving a YouTube alert. Thank you, Indie J. I appreciate it. Party for book 69? Ooh, maybe we should read something like really saucy for number 69. Okay. Yeah, do you guys think? Do you think we could? Are you getting stutter and lag? I'm not seeing any on my end. It says that there are 0 dropped frames. Perhaps it's on your end? Yeah. Sorry, Artax. Alright. Chapter 10. An Unfruitful Search. Nancy Drew's presence in the mansion had a wholesome effect upon the Turnbull sisters, for soon after her arrival they became more cheerful. Floretta announced that she felt a great deal better and insisted upon getting up and dressing. To the surprise of her sister, she appeared most cheerful when she came downstairs for luncheon. "Tell me, does this house have any particular history?" Nancy questioned, as the three sat at the table. "Oh, yes, indeed," Rosemary responded proudly.
It was built in the early days, when stone houses were out of the ordinary. Of course, the mansion has been remodeled many times, but the original walls still stand. The property has never passed from the Turnbull family.
To your knowledge, there are no secret panels or trapdoors in the house?
I know of none. However, Floretta and I never were interested in such things until recently, and I'll admit, we haven't gone over the house carefully. It's possible something like that was built in when the house was remodeled in Civil War times. As a protective measure, you know.
I'm sorry, you two grew up here as twin girls and you didn't explore your giant house? That's so weird to me. Like, how would you live in a crazy house like that as children and not explore it? They've lived there their whole lives. Like 8 decades at least. I'm guessing. I don't know. I said, like, not actually a castle, but like kind of castle-esque. They were given cocoa melon and sat down. Oh, Lord.
Well then, if you have no objection, I believe I'll have a look around and see if I can locate anything unusual.
Certainly, Rosemary assured her. You're free to do anything you like, and we'll help you all we can. Where will you start?
I may as well begin in the attic and work down. If you go up there, you'll need candles. It's very dark. You see, we've never had the house wired for electricity.
Rosemary hurried to the kitchen and returned in a few minutes with 6 large tallow candles. I mean, not only is there no electricity, but she's using fucking tallow candles. Like, you're really leaning into the medieval vibes here, ladies. Like, candles made out of beef fat. They stink. They were used a lot in the past, but like, I don't know. It is not the nicest form of candle to burn. Girl, you for real now? Before concentrating her attention upon the attic, Nancy made a preliminary survey of the entire mansion. The house consisted of 15 large rooms. On the first floor, in addition to the kitchen, butler's pantry, and dining room, there was a drawing room, a library, a sun parlor, and a reception hall. Directly beneath the first floor was the basement, which had been broken up into storerooms. The second floor was devoted to bedchambers. Rosemary explained that one wing of the house had been shut off for years, and this portion of the house at once aroused Nancy's interest. However, a casual survey of the rooms revealed nothing which would indicate that anyone had visited them in the last 6 years. A thick accumulation of dust was undisturbed. I wonder if that's a typo or if that was it switches tense there. Instead of saying revealed nothing, it says reveal nothing. It switches to present tense there. I don't know if it's just a typo for this Gutenberg version or if it was like that in the original manuscript, but the vibe is sick, the upkeep is crazy. Like, I kind of would love to live in a creepy house like this, yeah.
We'll try the attic first, Nancy decided. Later, I'll go over these other rooms more carefully. Single file, Nancy and the 2 ladies trudged up the narrow stairs leading to the attic. As Nancy opened the door at the head of the stairs, a gust of wind struck her candle and extinguished the flame. Quickly lighting it, she stepped into the attic. She glanced about curiously, flashing the light into every nook and corner. The attic appeared little different from others Nancy had visited. It was filled with pieces of discarded furniture. A tall highboy stood in one corner, a broken rocking chair in another, and boxes were piled everywhere. Systematically, Nancy poked into the boxes and went over the walls inch by inch. The latter had a hollow sound, but she was unable to find a spring which would open a panel. If the walls guarded a secret, they guarded it well. "I guess there's nothing here," Nancy admitted, after she had spent nearly an hour in the attic. She was reluctant to leave, for although she had unearthed nothing, she could not help but feel that she had overlooked something of vital importance. "I was afraid you wouldn't find anything," Rosemary commented as she turned toward the stairs. "Now where? Should we try the basement?" The three made their way cautiously down the stairs to the first floor, and from there to the kitchen. As they descended into the dark cellar, an unpleasant, musty odor assailed their nostrils. A few minutes' search convinced Nancy that the basement was not worth bothering about. The floors and walls had been covered with cement and offered no possibility of a trapdoor. However, before returning to the first floor, she looked carefully about in the storerooms to make certain that no one was hiding there. "Well, our search wasn't very well rewarded," Nancy admitted after the three had returned to the kitchen. "But I'm not ready to give up yet. I intend to have another look tomorrow." The investigation of the attic and the basement had taken the better part of the afternoon, and already shadows were beginning to lurk in the nooks and crannies. With the approach of night, the house seemed to take on a more formidable atmosphere. Dinner at the mansion was rather a strained, formal affair. Rosemary and Nancy made an attempt to keep up a conversation, but without much success. There was a tenseness in the air which everyone felt. After dinner, the three adjourned to the drawing room. Rosemary sat down at the piano and tried to play, but Nancy noticed that her hands trembled. After a time, she gave it up. Floretta was even less composed than her sister. She sat rigidly on the sofa, with hands tightly clasped. Involuntarily, her eyes roved about the room, as though she were looking for someone. "Oh my goodness, our tags! Thank you for gifting us out to Indie J. That is so, so kind of you. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Imagine living in a house where you just leave an entire wing I know. That's crazy. Val channeling that 84-year-old energy into the character. I love when there's old character, when I get to put on my old lady voice. Pink Cupcake Maria, hello. Yes, Indie J, enjoy the emotes. Okay. Involuntarily, her eyes roved about the room, as though she were looking for someone. "What an odd piece of furniture," Nancy commented, in an attempt to start a conversation. "Oh, which piece do you mean?" Rosemary questioned. "The sofa. I never saw one like it." "I don't wonder. It's built in." "Built in? How odd. Well, I've seen built-in bookcases and window seats, but I never heard of a built-in sofa." "It was our great-grandfather's idea," Floretta explained. "I never could see any sense in it myself. I'd much rather have a sofa that could be moved about." At 9 o'clock, Nancy announced that she would retire, and in obvious relief, Floretta and Rosemary arose to follow her example. "Don't forget to lock your door," Rosemary warned her guest, as she said goodnight at the head of the stairs. "And if anything should happen, scream. We'll hear you." As soon as she was alone in her bedchamber, Nancy Drew locked the door. Then she made a hasty examination of the closet. There was nothing inside. She looked under the bed. "There's nothing like caution," she assured herself. I don't believe a ghost will get in here very easily, but just the same, I'll be prepared. Hi, James. Hello. Do I read family story? I read a whole bunch of different books from the public domain. We're currently reading a Nancy Drew mystery. Welcome in. Hi, Nexus. Good to see you. Unlocking her traveling bag, she removed the revolver her father had given her and a flashlight she had thoughtfully included as part of her emergency equipment. Why weren't you using that in the attic? You had a freaking flashlight? Okay, whatever. Carefully loading the revolver, she placed it under her pillow. There, she exclaimed with satisfaction. Any ghost that comes prowling about is apt to meet with a warm reception. Damn, girl. Christ. Like, obviously, when she's saying ghost, she doesn't actually mean ghost. Like, she doesn't think it's an actual ghost, right? So when she says ghost, she means, like, prowler. For her to not even know how to use a revolver, but to give such a, like, blithe and snarky line about pulling a gun and maybe murdering someone is just crazy attitude, Nancy. Like, her dad should have taught her, but her just being like patting her gun. Anyone that barges in here will get a warm reception. Like, okay, all right. Showing some weird moxie, I guess. With that, she sprang into bed. She did not intend to fall asleep at once, but before she knew it, she had dozed off. When she awoke, the sun was streaming in the bedroom window. With a start, Nancy Drew opened her eyes and glanced about the room. So far as she could tell, everything was exactly as she had left it. Hurriedly dressing, she went downstairs. Rosemary and Floretta were there ahead of her, and breakfast was nearly ready. "Did you sleep well?" Rosemary asked her. "Like a log. Well, I scarcely shut my eyes all night." "But surely nothing happened to alarm you?" she asked. "No, I didn't hear a sound." After breakfast, Nancy once more began the task of investigating the walls of the various rooms in the hope of discovering a sliding panel. She spent the morning going over the downstairs rooms. She tapped the walls with a small hammer and even looked behind the heavy pictures. "I'm certain there must be a secret opening in this house somewhere," she told herself, "but it doesn't look as though I'm going to find it very easily." In the afternoon, she devoted her attention to the bedrooms, but without success. That night, she again slept with the revolver under her pillow. Oh, thank you, James. I'm glad you enjoy it. I hope she doesn't pull a gun on either of the old ladies. The next day was a repetition of the one that had gone before. Nancy began to wonder if there really was a mystery connected with the old house. Can it be that Rosemary and Floretta only imagine strange things that have been happening? She asked herself. That night when she retired, she was half inclined not to place the revolver under her pillow, as usual, for it seemed a rather unnecessary precaution. Upon second thought, however, she decided it would be wise not to take a chance. After climbing into bed and blowing out the light, she did not fall asleep at once. The window curtains were up, permitting the moonlight to stream in, and for some time Nancy watched the shadows of the trees dance on the white walls of the room. I wonder if those shadows were the ones Rosemary and Floretta saw, she thought. After about half an hour, she dozed off, but she did not sleep soundly. She awoke in the middle of the night and found that she could not go back to slumber. What is the matter with me? She asked herself. I feel just as if something were about to happen.
The house was as quiet as a tomb. Yet there was something about the silence which was ominous. This will never do, Nancy chided herself severely as she felt a cold chill creeping over her. Resolutely, she closed her eyes, but sleep would not come. She tried the time-worn device of counting the sheep, but in vain. It was as though a faculty over which she had no control had elected to maintain a vigil. Restlessly, Nancy Drew tossed about. Then, just as she was sinking into a light sleep, she was aroused rudely. There's nothing worse than being rudely aroused. Hi, Pratik. Hi, Ola. Goodbye. Hi, Duke. What was it that had awakened her? She sat up in bed and tried to pierce the darkness. Then she heard a noise which seemed to come from the floor below. There was a dull thud, and then a blood-curdling yell. After that, silence. End of chapter. Oh my goodness. There's a giveaway going on Twitch. Oh my goodness, you guys. Exclamation mark enter if you are on Twitch. I'm so sorry to the YouTube viewers. Exclamation mark enter for a chance to win a lit mug. Artax, thank you so much for mug and chat. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Artax. Exclamation mark enter. Holy cliffhanger. Don't worry. Right after this giveaway ends, we will be jumping into the next chapter. Oh my goodness. You already have one, you'll let others try for it? Heck yeah. Yay! They are fantastic mugs. I can really vouch for them. I use mine all the time. On your way back to YouTube. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, thank you. You might be a bit of a Fal fanboy wearing your lit shirt, drinking tea from your I Like Book mug. Heck yeah, Artax. Thank you. I love that. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Welcome back, Galen. Your device is about to die. No! Peace all night. You better plug it in, because you need to know what happens in the next chapter. Yeah, the giveaway. Zen! Zen Paladin has won the mug. Yay! Yay! Zen, congratulations. Artax, thank you so much for that super generous, awesome giveaway. Thank you so much. Aww. Okay, alright. So, a thud, followed by a blood-curdling yell, followed by silence. That's where we're at. Okay. It doesn't move the... Oh my god, yeah, Artax, I really appreciate it. So sweet of you. Hadoken, thank you for the lurk. Good setup so far. Yeah. I'm actually like, I don't know who this could be. Is it one of the old ladies? Is it the squatter? We don't know. Okay. Chapter 11. A Cry in the Night. When the loud, piercing cry echoed through the old stone house, Nancy Drew instinctively clutched the bed clothing about her neck, as though by doing so she could protect herself from an unseen danger. An instant she waited, but the cry was not repeated. There was not a sound to be heard anywhere in the house. Then, with determination, Nancy sprang from the bed
and slipped quickly into her dressing gown and put on her bedroom slippers. Reaching under her pillow, she was relieved to find the revolver and flashlight where she had left them. The stars were no longer shining, and the room was so dark that she could not see a foot ahead of her. Switching on the flashlight, she made her way to the door and gave it a pull. It did not open. Am I locked in? Nancy thought in horror. In her haste and excitement, she had forgotten that she had fastened the door herself. As she remembered, she turned the key in the lock and jerked open the door. Stepping out into the corridor, she flashed her light about in all directions. There was no one in sight. Then the door at the end of the hall opened, and Floretta half stumbled, half fell into the corridor. As she saw the flashlight, she let out a low cry of fright. "Be quiet," Nancy warned. "Oh, I thought it was the ghost," Floretta chattered. "Did you hear that terrible scream?" "Yes, I heard it. Where is Miss Rosemary? See if she's all right." "Oh, if Rosemary has been murdered." She broke off as Rosemary came out of her room. She, too, was badly frightened, but she was able to maintain a certain amount of composure. The two sisters huddled together near Nancy. Although nearly 30 years older than the girl, they're in their 40s? What? I thought they were described as elderly. They were described as elderly. Nancy's 16, and they're not even 30. They're like 30, they're like 45, maybe. They're in their 40s. What the actual fuck? I've been giving them like 80-year-old voices. Yeah, sorry everyone who's listening. If you're like in your mid-40s, you're ancient, apparently. Sorry. Maybe they're smokers. That can like age you more physically, but it doesn't make you elderly. That's crazy. This is blowing my mind. It literally, like, used the word elderly. It's not like I just projected it on there. To a teenager, that's probably true. Yeah, I guess, but, like, it could have said middle-aged. Or even just older. But elderly. Sorry. I know there's a lot of tension in this scene, but that just blew my mind. This was written in 1930. Like, how old is Carson Drew? How old is Nancy's dad? I pictured him being around 40. But like maybe he's like in his 30s. Maybe. So in like 10 years is Carson Drew going to be elderly, or does that only apply to women? I'm offended for women. They're like, oh, these freaking old spinsters. They're just in their freaking 40s. Okay. I'm not. Not that there's anything wrong with being in your 40s, but I'm not. I'm just upset about the whole premise.
Okay, sorry, let's get back to it. She's in her 440s. Yeah, you got me. You got me. Okay. All right. All right. Sorry. Let me get back into the creepy mystery mood. Jesus. Okay. Okay. The two sisters huddled together near Nancy. Although nearly 30 years older than the girl, they seemed to look to her for protection. The cry came from the floor below, or at least that's the way it sounded to me, Nancy whispered. We must go down there and find out what has happened. Go down there? Floretta wailed. Never. Shh, Nancy warned. Not so loud. We don't know what danger we are facing. We'll be murdered if we go down there, Floretta maintained in a slightly lower tone. I have a revolver. I can't go. Then you stay here, Rosemary said brusquely to hide the tremble in her own voice. If you're going downstairs, I'll go with you, Nancy. And leave me here all alone, Floretta asked desperately. Then come along, Rosemary told her curtly. Flashlight in hand, Nancy Drew had already started to move toward the steps. Rosemary followed, and Floretta, not to be left alone, brought up the rear. On the stairway, the three huddled together while Nancy flashed her light about the hall below them. Everything was in perfect order, and there was no sign of an intruder. It was a ghost! I know it was, Floretta whispered. Be quiet, Rosemary warned. Nancy led the way. Nancy led the way on down the circular stairs. At every step, the old boards creaked alarmingly underfoot. We're certainly heralding our approach, all right, Nancy thought grimly. I hope someone doesn't take a shot at us. This fear she did not communicate to the Turnbull sisters, for she knew that it would take but little to throw them into a frenzy of fright. Reaching the drawing room, she fumbled about and finally located an oil lamp, which she lighted. A survey of the room revealed nothing amiss. Everything seemed in its place, and the trio moved on toward the sun parlor. The silver! Floretta exclaimed suddenly. Do you suppose it is missing? The same thought had just occurred to Nancy, and turning quickly, she hurried toward the dining room. Floretta and Rosemary followed at a more cautious pace. The buffet, where the silver was kept, was locked. Rosemary removed the key from a nearby vase and, fitting it into the lock, opened the door. Nothing is missing, she declared after she had finished counting the silver. I don't believe the cry came from this room anyway, Nancy said thoughtfully. It seemed to me that it was directly under my bedroom. The cry must have come from the library, Rosemary announced. I thought it seemed to come from that direction too, Floretta murmured. It was the most blood-curdling yell I ever heard, like someone in distress. Shall we search the library? Nancy interrupted. Lead the way, Rosemary told her grimly. Artax, thank you for gifting us up to Mix Boy. Thank you. That is so kind. Hi, Mix Boy. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you. Hi, Powder. Alright. With revolver held ready for instant use, Nancy Drew started in the direction of the library. The Turnbull sisters who still huddled together, kept close behind her. Scarcely had they taken a dozen steps when Floretta paused and looked anxiously back over her shoulder. "What was that?" she whispered fearfully. "What?" Nancy said impatiently, turning around. "I didn't hear anything." "I thought I heard footsteps behind me," Floretta murmured nervously. "You must have been mistaken," Rosemary said firmly. "I heard nothing." Nancy was certain that Floretta's nerves were getting the best of her, but nevertheless, to make sure that they were not being followed, she paused and strained her ears to catch a sound. She could hear nothing. "You must have been mistaken," she said quietly, again moving on. "Hi, Merc. Hello. Welcome back." In the face of danger, Nancy Drew was cool and collected. But even for her, it was a nerve-wracking experience to move through the dimly lighted old mansion, uncertain as to what lay just ahead. At any moment, they might be walking into a trap. She opened the library door cautiously, half expecting something to spring out and pounce upon her. As she flashed her light about the room, she was relieved to see that everything was in order. But was it? Her eye rested upon a ladder-back chair, which had been pushed up against the bookcase. Surely Rosemary and Floretta would not have left it that way, for they were both excellent housekeepers and meticulous about details. Rosemary's eyes had fallen upon the same chair. "Someone has been in here," she exclaimed. Her eyes slowly traveled upward to the top of the bookcase. She gave a little scream. "My silver urn! It's gone! Someone has stolen my urn!" End of chapter. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I feel like she did not spend enough time in the library. Like, why was she not? I don't. Maybe she did, but it didn't say that she checked all the bookcases. Yeah, I hope that's not an urn full of ashes. Artax, thank you for the 200 biddies. Oh my goodness. Thank you so. Oh, wait, I meant to turn this off. Damn it. I didn't want that there for the reading VOD. Oh well. But thank you. Thank you, Artax. I always want to keep, like, overlays off for reading VODs. Totally forgot. Okay. Let's get into the next one. Chapter 12. The Theft. "The silver urn is gone," Rosemary repeated, as though unable to believe her eyes. "Someone has taken it, and it can never be replaced." "It was a family heirloom," Floretta added morosely. "We've had it ever since grandmother died." I don't think grandmother's in the urn, but that's how that comes across. "Your hair reminds me of a glass of Merlot." Oh, damn, thank you. "It was handed down from one generation to another. It was valuable, too," Rosemary went on. "It was solid silver. We'd been offered $500 for it by a jeweler. But of course we refused the offer. I can't bear to lose it." She sank into a chair and looked as though she were about to cry. How much is $500 in 1930? Bright Eyes, welcome and thank you for the raid. Hello, hello. Welcome in. How was your stream today? What were you guys getting up to? We are just reading some Nancy Drew. We're reading The Hidden Staircase. And there is an intruder in the house. Only about 9,000? Okay. I mean, that's valuable. You were playing Palia? Heck, oh my god. I didn't play Palia for like a few weeks. I've just been kind of disconnected from gaming for a bit. And then I just saw the info about the next expansion. We're getting horses. We're getting freaking horses in Palia, and you can raise your pony and keep it on your home plot. And I am so excited to raise a pony. The Highlands, oh my god, I'm so excited to have a pony in game. New expansion, yeah, new expansion. So I'm like getting back into it. Okay. Anyways, thank you so much though, Bright Eyes. You guys make sure you're dropping a follow, checking out Bright Eyes content. Get cozy. We are in a tense moment. It's Nancy Drew, a couple of old ladies. Dude, I was ranting earlier because this book, we're like halfway through the book. It's been describing these ladies as elderly. And it just revealed that they're like at most 45. Anyway, all right. It's a silver urn, yeah. The metal itself is worth a lot more. Oh, so like it'd be worth more to just like melt down. Right? Dude, I lost my shit and ranted for a little bit. Okay. All right. Oh, I can't bear to lose it. She sank into a chair and looked as though she were about to cry. Perhaps we'll find it somewhere, Nancy offered hopefully. Are you certain it was left in the library? Oh, yes, it was on top of the bookcase. We've kept it there for years. First a spoon, then a pocketbook, next my pin, and now the urn? Floretta reviewed pessimistically. It's too much. I know there's a ghost in this house. A ghost wouldn't have needed a chair to reach the top of the bookcase, Nancy commented dryly. That's so, Rosemary agreed. The chair is pushed up against the bookcase. But how did the thief get into the house? If I knew the answer to that question, I think the mystery would be solved, Nancy returned. Nancy's like snarky tonight. She's got some sass. Were the doors all locked last night before you went to bed? Oh yes, I was very careful. And the windows, all bolted. I can't understand it, Nancy murmured, perplexed. She examined the room as carefully as she could in the dim light, but was unable to find any additional traces of the midnight prowler. The thief seems to have vanished into thin air, she said at last. I don't believe there's any use to search tonight. We may as well go back to bed. Oh, I couldn't sleep a wink, Floretta interposed. I'm going to sit up the rest of the night. So am I, Rosemary added. Then we may as well bring our blankets down here, Nancy declared. I don't think the thief will return tonight, but at least we can be prepared. Accordingly, the three settled themselves in comfortable chairs and spent the remainder of the night snugly wrapped in warm blankets. Nancy and Rosemary occasionally dozed off into a light slumber, but Floretta was too nervous to permit herself to go to sleep. Although the light was burning, her eyes continually roved about the room, fearfully searching the darker corners. At the first indication of dawn, Rosemary, with Nancy assisting her, prepared breakfast. Hot coffee went a long way toward reviving the spirits of the trio, and with the rising of the sun, the old house seemed less oppressive and fearful. As soon as breakfast was over, Nancy set herself to the task of going over the library minutely. She examined the walls inch by inch, but found no indication of a secret panel. With Rosemary's help, she even moved the heavy bookcase, but there was nothing behind it. The furniture occupied but little of her time, for with the exception of a built-in sofa, similar to the one in the drawing room, it was all very ordinary and offered no possibility of a hiding place. Nancy did examine the bookcase and the chairs for fingerprints, but her search was not rewarded. There was not a single clue which pointed to the identity of the thief. Nor was the missing urn found anywhere in the place. All day Nancy searched, but in vain. She was bitterly disappointed, for she had hoped to be able to help Rosemary and Floretta. The ordeal of the night had frightened them a great deal, and they began to talk seriously of leaving the house at the end of the week. "It will be better to close it up than to endure another week like the past one," Rosemary admitted. "I don't like to be driven away, but I see no other way." Nancy said nothing, but mentally resolved that she would never leave the mansion until she had solved the mystery. When her father arrived on his way home from Chicago, she would tell him everything and turn the case over to him. The next 2 days and nights were uneventful, greatly to the surprise of everyone. Rosemary and Floretta began to show the effects of the strain under which they labored. "I declare, I'd almost as soon something would happen as to keep thinking it's going to every minute," Rosemary sighed. With the passing of the days, Nancy Drew became quiet and thoughtful. She had a new worry, which she did not communicate to the Turnbull sisters. When her father had left for Chicago, he had promised that he would return within a week, and that he would send her a telegram stating the exact hour he expected to arrive in Cliffwood. For several days, Nancy had been anxiously looking for the message, but it had not arrived. Why had her father failed to keep his promise? "It's possible Dad didn't get his business accomplished as quickly as he expected," she assured herself. "I'll probably get the telegram tomorrow." But the expected message did not arrive on the following day, and now Nancy began to worry in earnest. Surely her father would have wired her if he had been delayed, she told herself. What could have happened? Perhaps he decided not to stop at Cliffwood and went on to River Heights, she reasoned. Glancing at the calendar, she saw that it was a full week since her father had left home. By this time, she had expected to return to River Heights herself, and she had asked Hannah to open the house before her arrival. "If only there were a telephone here," she fretted. "I could call home and find out if Dad is there yet." The more she thought of it, the more anxious she became, and at last, to relieve her mind, she decided to drive to Cliffwood and make the telephone call. This intention she communicated to Rosemary and Floretta. "You'll not be gone long, will you?" Rosemary questioned anxiously. "We've decided not to stay in this house another night alone. When you leave, we're going too." "I'll be back in a few minutes," Nancy promised. "I only want to make a telephone call." "Oh, I'm sorry we haven't one here," Rosemary apologized. "It's so much bother to go into Cliffwood." "I really don't mind at all. I'll enjoy the ride." As Nancy left the mansion behind, she breathed more freely. There was something about the place that was oppressive. She drove rapidly and soon reached the main part of Cliffwood. Entering a corner drugstore, she telephoned to her own home. After a short wait, Hannah Gruen answered. "Is my father home yet?" Nancy asked, after a few preliminary remarks. "No, I haven't heard from him since he left," came the response. Nancy hung up the receiver and leaned against the side of the telephone booth. What could it mean? Why had her father failed to notify anyone of his change of plans? It was not at all like him. I have a notion to telegraph to Chicago and find out if he has left there, she thought. I believe I have the address at the firm he went to see. Opening her purse, she fished about and, after pulling out several wrong cards, found the one for which she was searching. Now to find a telegraph office, she decided, as she left the drugstore. She found one only a few doors away and, having entered, wrote out a brief message and handed it to the clerk at the desk. When the answer comes, have it sent to the Turnbull mansion, she told the man. After paying the charges, she left the office and slowly made her way back to the roadster. Now, back to the haunted house, she told herself grimly. I'm beginning to feel that I'll never solve the mystery by myself. I'll be glad when Dad gets here, so he can help me. As she approached the mansion, Nancy's attention was attracted to another stone house, only a short distance away. In general appearance, it bore a striking resemblance to the mansion. I wonder who lives there, she thought. I must inquire when I get back to the mansion. However, for the time being, Nancy was too troubled about her father to devote much thought to the mystery of the old house, and before she reached the mansion, she had forgotten the question she had intended to ask. Oh, okay. I think I know what the dealio is. The evenings at the mansion were all alike. Dinner was served at 7 o'clock in the big, gloomy dining room, and after that the three adjourned to the drawing room. There was no radio, no evening paper. With the deepening of the shadows, the conversation became stilted and difficult. By 9 o'clock, everyone was glad of the opportunity to retire. All afternoon, Nancy had waited hopefully for an answer to her telegram, but it had not arrived. She would have made another trip to the telegraph office in the evening, but she knew that Rosemary and Floretta would be afraid to stay in the house alone. At 9 o'clock, Nancy went to her room, but she did not fall asleep for hours. I have the strangest feeling, she thought. It's just as though something had happened to Dad. Of course, it's silly of me. But try as she would, she could not free herself of the conviction. And when she arose in the morning, it was still with her. She ate very little for breakfast, but her lack of appetite passed unnoticed by the Turnbull sisters. As she was about to leave the table, there came a ring of the front doorbell. Rosemary and Floretta exchanged frightened glances. Who can it be, do you suppose? Floretta stammered. I'll go, Nancy said quickly. I think it must be for me. Hey, Quantum, thanks for watching over on YouTube. And Olivia, hi. She left the dining room and hastened to open the front door. As she had expected, it was a uniformed messenger boy. Telegram for Nancy Drew? He said curtly. I don't know if boy means he's actually a child. That's a job that children had at the time, right? Delivering telegrams? I am Miss Drew. Then sign here. They're 43. You go from child to elderly, there's no in between. Nancy complied with the request and eagerly accepted the yellow envelope. As she tore open the flap and scanned the message, a frightened look came over her face. The telegram had been sent by the law firm in Chicago and confirmed her worst fears. The message read, Carson Drew left here 2 days ago. End of chapter. No, Carson. Not Big Daddy Lawyer. Not Daddy Drew. Carson. What's happened? Did Gumby get him? Did Gumby get him? Gumby was lurking in a bush and took out Daddy Drew. Petty law books. Lulu, thank you for the streak. Thank you. Oh no. Okay, well this is bad. A boy in his 60s. Hi, Ellie McCrazy. Hello. Hi. How you doing? Okay, do we read another chapter? Do we end on this cliffhanger? We should probably... We've only read 3 chapters. We should read another chapter, right? Chapter 13. Another surprise. For a full minute, Nancy Drew stood staring blankly at the telegram in her hand. She read it a second time, although she knew every word by memory. Worry assailed her anew. If her father had left Chicago 2 days before, as the telegram indicated, he would have reached Cliffwood before this, even if he had come on the slowest train. Surely something must have happened to him en route. What had delayed him? After a moment's reflection, Nancy entered the house, intending to tell the Turnbull sisters about the telegram and ask their advice. She was destined never to carry the thought into action, for as she closed the door behind her, she heard a wild shriek from above. It seemed to come from Floretta's room. Fearing the worst, Nancy sprang toward the stairs and took them 2 at a time. Rosemary came running from the kitchen. Reaching Floretta's room, Nancy thrust open the door. "What is it?" she cried. Floretta stood in the center of the room, wringing her hands in anguish. "My dresses have been stolen." "Your dresses?" Nancy echoed. "Yes, while we were at breakfast. Someone entered my room and took 3 of my best black silk dresses. And that isn't the worst. Look up there." Wonderingly, Nancy turned her eyes toward a picture which hung over the bed. What she saw caused her to gasp in astonishment. On the frame perched 2 live canary birds. "Oh!" Rosemary screamed. She had entered the room behind Nancy, and her eyes had fallen upon the picture frame. "It's wizardry," Floretta moaned. Alright, okay. Cautiously, Nancy moved toward the picture. "Don't touch those birds," Rosemary advised. "They're only tame little canaries," Nancy said, gently removing one from the frame. "See." "Don't bring that bird near me," Floretta cried. "It's an evil omen." "I never heard of a canary being called an omen of bad luck," Nancy returned, studying the bird curiously. "A canary is a rather happy little bird. This one is, anyway." "Girl, the thing canaries are most known for is dying in the mines so that people can get out before they also die in the mines. So they kind of are an omen of bad luck if they die." I don't know. Like, that's not a happy association. It turns out she just has amnesia and she's selling her shit off on eBay. Floretta's just making bank in the background. Maria! Isn't he so jaunty in that? They can be revived on the surface. Yeah, I mean, the first sign is if the canary stops singing. And I imagine if you act really quick and you run up at that point, maybe the canary could be revived. If someone cares about the canary. Even patented a device for canary CPR. Oh my god. Maybe an omen of good luck because it's a sign that saves lives. That is a very glass half full way to look at it, Ash. I commend you. Yeah. Well done. Well done for your optimism. It does do that, and that's a nice thing to focus on instead of, oh no, we've delve too greedily and too deep, and now there's a toxic gas filling the mine shafts, and a lot of men could die. And children. Okay. I mean, you know, neither are you. Like, both are correct. One's a pessimistic way of looking at it, one's an optimistic way. Well done. I like it, yes. Eldritch miasma, or that. Okay. Get them out of the house, Floretta pleaded. Obligingly, Nancy opened the window and set the two canaries free. How did they ever get in here, anyway? Rosemary demanded. We never had a bird in our lives. Nancy was dumbfounded. Never had she heard of a more puzzling mystery. Had the canaries been left in the room by the same person who had stolen Floretta's dresses? Unquestionably, the birds could not have flown in a window, for they were kept carefully screened. So many strange things had occurred in the house. See, I don't think it's that, like, this still, the answer to this is still, there is a secret entrance, you just haven't found it yet. You know, like, these new things happening aren't making it more confusing. It's just you haven't found the secret entrance. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not things that are disproving the secret entrance theory. Canaries give a +1 to hit against Balrogs when you delve too deep. Her father was a miner and was killed by a canary. Aww. I'm so glad that someone made that to save canaries. Okay. So many strange things had occurred in the house. Unexplainable music and shadows, and the sound of footsteps in the night. Then a spoon had disappeared. Next, a pocketbook, a diamond pin, an urn, and now Floretta's silk dresses. Nancy lost no time in examining the closet and the walls of the room, but she could find no clue which suggested in what manner an entrance had been effected. Apparently, the windows had not been opened. Nancy felt almost humiliated. She had promised to help Floretta and Rosemary, and so far she had not even gained a clue. Many things had happened under her very nose, and yet she had been unable to put her hands on the thief. There must be an explanation for everything. If only she could think of it. She's like, I wanted to give him a warm reception. There's some thieving drag queen looking flash in the attic. I was thinking, I really hope they come upon Nathan Gumby just wearing silk dresses hidden away in the walls. Late to do so, but YouTube lurking. Ash, thank you so much for lurking over on YouTube. Yes, you guys, please, please, if you have the ability to open up the YouTube stream, it would help so, so much with getting those watch hours up. As she stood, absorbed in her own unpleasant thoughts, a sudden idea came to her. Do you know of anyone who wants to force you out of this house? She demanded. Rosemary shook her head. Why, no. Why should anyone want to do that? Is there anyone who wants to buy the house? We've had several offers from real estate men. There's some talk that the city wants this house for a historical museum. And the real estate men are trying to get it cheap in the hope of selling to the city and making a neat profit for themselves, Nancy summarized shrewdly. You're heading off to bed, bitch. Good night. Thank you so much. Have a lovely night and sleep. Well, that's about it. You don't intend to sell? Well, we didn't, until lately. At least,
Not unless we could get a price for it. Now we'd be lucky to sell it for anything, I guess. No one wants a haunted house. Nancy was eager to learn more, for now she felt that she had stumbled upon her first clue. She was convinced that someone was trying to force the Mrs. Turnbull from their home and, by frightening them, induce them to sell the mansion at a low figure. "Who has tried to purchase the place?" she asked quickly. "Well, there's John O'Conley," Floretta told her. "What sort of man is he?" "Oh, I'm sure he's honest. We've known him all our lives." "And there was H.D. Fellows, another real estate agent," Rosemary added thoughtfully. "He made us a very straightforward offer, but he wasn't willing to meet our price. However, he was very nice about it when we told him we wouldn't sell." "Were there any others?" "Oh, Nathan Gombe, but we didn't consider his offer seriously," Rosemary continued. "Oh shit, our boy Gumby wants the mansion." Nancy pricked up her ears at the information. Here was genuine news. "Nathan Gombe!" she exclaimed. "What sort of an offer did he make you?" "Oh, Gombe isn't honest," Floretta broke in feelingly. "We won't have anything to do with him anymore. You see, he claimed we gave him an option to buy our house for $6,000. $6,000? That's ridiculous. Surely you didn't give him such an option." "Mercy, no. But Gombe claims we did." "The house is worth at least $20,000, Rosemary declared. "And if the city should decide to use it for a historical museum, we ought to get even more than that for it." "I should think so," Nancy agreed. "Gombe was trying to cheat you." "We never gave him any sort of option," Floretta insisted. "We wouldn't do business with him at any price, because we couldn't trust him. He would cheat us out of our eye teeth." "How long ago did all this happen?" "Oh, it must have been nearly a year ago," Rosemary said, trying to recall. "It was last spring." "The matter went to court?" "No, Nathan Gombe threatened to make trouble, and he said he would sue us. But nothing ever came of it." "We had forgotten all about him until you brought up the subject," Floretta added. "Then you've heard nothing more from him since?" "Well, he threatened us once," Rosemary told Nancy. "Said he would make us sorry we hadn't sold at his price. But nothing ever came of the threat." "Hi, Red C. Thank you for the 500 bits. Oh my goodness, thank you. 20,000 in 1930 bucks is about 400,000 USD today. That feels really cheap for a giant stone mansion. Like, surely, yeah, I don't know, that feels really cheap. Red Sea, thank you. Eye teeth? Yeah, eye teeth are like the fang teeth. They're called eye teeth. Yeah, like it would have gone up in value as well. Although if it was in total disrepair, that could work against it. There are lots of factors. Your incisors? Yeah. It's because they're the ones that like line up with your eyes, I guess. I don't know. Anyway. How long ago was that? 2 or 3 months ago, I should judge. Nancy Drew nodded thoughtfully and relapsed into deep meditation. She was now convinced that Nathan Gombe had some connection with the mysterious things which had been going on in the old house. Perhaps he was trying to frighten Rosemary and Floretta so that they would be glad to sell at his price. "Gombe hasn't approached you with a new offer recently, has he?" she asked. Floretta shook her head. "We haven't seen him for some time. We don't want to either." "You don't think Gombe has had anything to do with what has happened lately, do you?" Rosemary questioned the girl. "Well, of course, I don't know, but I'm beginning to suspect there may be a connection," Nancy returned. "At least, I intend to investigate that line and see what it leads to."
Well, to be sure, there's nothing in Nathan Gombe's character that would prevent his using any underhand method to induce us to sell him this house, said Rosemary musingly. Still, I don't see what opportunity he's had to do what's been done here. He hasn't been near us for some time, you know, Nancy. Well, that's true, replied the girl. But someone must have made the opportunity. Mr. Gombe has the motive, and is so lacking in any sense of honor that would keep him from injuring you in this way, that I believe he furnishes the best lead to follow. With that, she left the bedroom and went to her own room farther down the hall. But as she sat by the window, trying to think her way through the jumble of information she had gleaned, she found it difficult to keep her mind on the mystery. You stayed overtime. Aw. Well, I'm glad you get to relax now, Ritzy. They're living in a rural area and have no electricity installed. That's true. That's true. That would lower the price. Aw, Nick. I hope you have a good sleep. After a time, she took the crumpled telegram she had received earlier. That morning from her pocket and studied it again. How could she interest herself in a mystery when her father was missing? What had happened to him? Oh, if only she could answer that question. End of chapter. Uh-oh. Artax. Oh my goodness. We knew it. We knew Gumby was involved. God damn it, Gumby. What do we do? Do we read one more chapter or do we wrap up for the night? I'm wondering, like, okay, assuming that it is Gumby. Golden Kappa train incoming on Twitch. Oh shit. Aw, Nick, you're so sweet. Thank you. Well, you guys, if you want to snag a Golden Kappa, here's your chance. I'm pretty sure you can get it with, like, any level of contribution. Oh my god, Bright Eyes. Thank you for the 500 biddies. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Wait, an Artax with the 300. And Artax with another 100, and Starhives with the 100. You guys, thank you. Heck yeah. Heck yeah, get that Golden Kappa. Red Sea, thank you for the 100. Artax, thank you for gifting a sub to the Starhives. Shale, thank you for the 100 biddies. Minimum 100 bits or 1 sub to claim your Golden Kappa. Okay. So there is a minimum, but it's very low. So sorry, YouTubers. So a Twitch thing is happening. There's a little hype train going on. That you do not have a hydrate redeem. Yes, I used to have a hydrate redeem, and then my doctor told me that I drink way too much water and I need to cut down on it. So we took the hydrate redeem off so that I can control my own fluid intake, because sometimes people would just spam hydrate over and over, and I already was drinking too much water on my own. Sean, thank you for the 200 bits. Thank you. Yeah. It's a weird thing when your doctor's like, yeah, you drink too much water. You need to cut back on that. BS, it was vodka. Okay. Okay, damn Dan. No. No. That was not the case. Thank you guys so much. In addition to, snagging yourself the golden kappa, this is really helpful for, we are currently, I'm fundraising to get a new PC because my PC is struggling. It is struggling and crashing. Sometimes multiple times a day. It crashed just before I started stream, and it crashed last night. It crashes a lot, so thank you so much, because all bits and donos go towards this and also unlock these special streams. Oh, not much, damn Dan. How are you doing? Ike, thank you for the 100 bits. And Artax for another 200. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, man. And Artax, thank you for gifting to Ike. Thank you so much. Yeah, I need to look into, because I have heard that there are ways to, like widgets or whatever that you can use to do like a poll, both to do polls and maybe giveaways across Twitch and YouTube. I don't know if it would be like a built-in one for my shop though, but there might be some tools that I can find that kind of bridge the gap between the different platforms a bit more. Yeah. There is definitely like more stuff on Twitch, but I really appreciate people who have been watching on YouTube. We're still reading about the staircase on the Titanic. Not that staircase, though I understand that is a pretty epic staircase. Now this one has not been discovered. It's still hidden. Ardax, thank you for the 101 bits. Yay! Oh my goodness. I mean, I think that we should probably read one more chapter. Yeah, wrong staircase. Sorry. Because the next chapter is called What Happened to Carson Drew. And, like, we need to know what happened to Carson Drew. You're gonna pass out? It's 1 a.m. for you, Galen. Aw. Well, I hope you have a wonderful sleep. I'm so glad you were able to hang out with us. Yeah, you can always check the VOD later to catch up on the... We're gonna read one more chapter tonight, but... Thank you for hanging out, Galen. I hope you sleep well. And by that I mean Rose. So I don't know which I should call you when you're commenting on YouTube, but good night, Rose. Good night, good night. Floral Amber? Really? Not really. Thank you for the gift sub to Mike Hunt Live. Mike Hunt Live. Floral, how you doing? You came in here to get the golden kappa? Say it faster. I will not. I will not. You what, mate? Oh my god. None good. Thank you for gifting a sub to Mike Hooter. Mike Hooter. No, I don't know what YouTube's gonna do with the built-in captions. if I say it faster, when every syllable really matters. Yeah. Hi, Winterwind. How you doing? Ardex, thank you for the 100 biddies. Yeah, you gotta really enunciate the H as well. Make sure there is no confusion there. Oh, you woke up from Floral Ember's loud laughter. You see what you've done, Nat? You've woken up. Your laughter has woken up a deaf man in another state. None good. Thank you for gifting a sub to Mike Hawk. Mike Hawk. That's right, you tell her. Oh man. There's a lot of crazy mics out there. I am not saying that, damn Dan. Okay, thank you for the 60 biddies. Thank you. You guys are such little trolls. I have been caught unawares before, and like there have been some usernames that I did not clock ahead of time, and I ended up saying some really sussy thing. It has happened on occasion. None good. Thank you for gifting a sub to Justin Bread. Justin Bread. And Red Sea, thank you for gifting a sub to Seymour Butts. Oh my god. I read literature here. I am here to promote a literary community. I guess that involves, I guess wordplay is a part of that. Wordplay is a part of that. Make sure you keep Nat quiet. I'll do my best, Nick, but you know how she gets. Oh. Lord. You'd be fired off the magic school bus talking that way. Puns are either the highest form of humor or the lowest. Yeah, they kind of have a little of both. You're not afraid of that. Oh dear. So we expect that the other little house is obviously like connected, right? I'm thinking about that weird phase in my life when I lived in a 300-year-old haunted manor house that did have a hidden staircase between two of the walls, which was discovered when a hole was knocked in one of the walls and there was a spiral staircase between the walls of the rooms, okay? And this house also had hidden passages coming out of the cellars and opening up in different directions out into the forest around it. And yeah. So it seems feasible that there is some sort of underground tunnel or something The fuck where you come from, Narnia? No, that was in England. No, it was a family that a noble family had lived. It was before your time, Cloud. You weren't there. A noble family had lived there, but then there was like this big, there was that big whole kerfuffle with Cromwell. That whole thing, and the lady of the house harbored the wrong people. She was a parliamentarian, but she had old family friends that were royalists, and she harbored them, and she was executed for it. And the judge wanted her burnt and really pushed for her to be burnt, but eventually the jury talked him into giving her a merciful beheading. Anyways, she haunted the shit out of that place. Sometimes people would see her carrying her head. Anyway. But yeah, hidden passages. Hidden passages. Mini cloud cam. Okay. They're just hanging out. They're not really doing much. How else is a girl supposed to get ahead in life? Oh. Why would you live there? Because of reasons. It was great. It was great. It was in a spooky forest. You guys, yay! Alright, the Golden Kappa hype train has ended. Thank you for that. And I like how when you use the Kappa with the choo-choo, it's just a really bunch of sarcastic, like, choo-choo. Choo-choo. Gonna go ahead and say thank you. Be careful when I fall asleep. I'm gonna see if I can make a lucid dream about hidden passageways and a story. Well, good luck with that, and hopefully that doesn't become terrifying. But yay! Thank you guys so much for that hype train. Amazing. Wait, Artax, did I miss you also gifting a sub to Mentat Muse? Thank you. Thank you, thank you. You did meme hard for it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's read probably just one more chapter of this story. Okay. But we need to know what happened to Carson Drew. Chapter 14. After taking leave of his daughter at the River Heights Railroad station, Carson Drew boarded the Chicago train. Upon arriving in the city, he lost no time in dispatching the business which had brought him to the great city on the lake. He had expected to remain in Chicago a full week, but so successful were his negotiations that his business was completed a day earlier than he had anticipated. I may as well send Nancy a telegram and return a day earlier, Mr. Drew decided. Accordingly, he sent his daughter a message to the effect that he would arrive at the Cliffwood station the following morning. He then boarded the night flyer. He did not dream that the telegram would never reach Nancy. It was destined to fall into the hands of an enemy. Oblivious of impending danger, Mr. Drew settled himself comfortably in the Pullman and took up a newspaper. The train had been moving. Can you guys hear that siren? Just want to wait for it to be over. Okay. The train had been moving perhaps an hour when the conductor came through and paused at his seat. Carson Drew? He inquired. That's my name. Then here's a telegram for you. We picked it up at the last station.
Wonderingly, Mr. Drew accepted the envelope and quickly ripped it open. He smiled with pleasure as he read the message. "We'll meet you at the Cliffwood station. Nancy."
Well, I'm glad to know she received my message, he thought, though I didn't expect her to answer the telegram. I'm greatly relieved that nothing happened to her while I was in Chicago. Somehow I didn't like the idea of letting her go off to that old stone house by herself. Anything might have happened. Good night, Downtown. Thank you for hanging out. Relieved that all was well with his daughter, Carson Drew settled himself. Sorry, am I gonna sneeze? No. Relieved that all was well with his daughter, Carson Drew settled himself to enjoy the evening paper. After reading it for perhaps an hour, he tossed it aside and went out to the observation car to give the porter an opportunity to make up his berth. After smoking a cigar, he returned, and before he retired, left an order for the porter to call him in the morning. In spite of the sway and rumble of the train, he slept soundly and did not open his eyes until the porter called him. 20 minutes out of Cliffwood, sir. I don't know why I give him that accent. Mr. Drew dressed himself hastily and prepared to get off at the station. He was eager to see Nancy again, for it seemed a month since he had been at home. It was nice of her to offer to meet him at such an early hour, he told himself. It was not yet 7 o'clock. The train came to a stop, and he swung from the step to the platform. Where was Nancy? Carson Drew glanced about in all directions, but his daughter was not in sight. Perhaps she had been delayed, he thought. Oh well, no matter. He would wait a few minutes, and then, if she failed to come along, he could call a taxi. He picked up his bag and started toward the waiting room, but he had taken less than a dozen steps when he saw a man hurrying toward him. Carson Drew frowned as he saw who it was. He had no desire to meet Nathan Gombe. Undoubtedly, the man would try to argue with him again about his so-called property rights on the river. Oh, that fellow is a pest, Mr. Drew told himself. Just my luck to run into him. But as Nathan Gombe approached, he could not help but see that the man was laboring under great excitement. I wonder what's the matter with him now, he asked himself curiously. Nathan Gombe came straight toward him. "Oh, Mr. Drew," he cried as he came up, "I have terrible news. Your daughter has been injured. You must come quickly." "Oh, that's playing dirty, Gombe." "Nancy's hurt?" Mr. Drew grasped him roughly by the arm. "It can't be." "She's badly injured, but the doctors think she has a chance to pull through." "Oh, how horrible," Carson Drew groaned. "She's calling for you. You must come quickly. Take me to her." In his anxiety to reach the daughter he loved so dearly, Carson Drew became almost frantic. "Here, jump in," Gombe ordered. He opened the front door of a battered auto which stood near the platform. Mr. Drew, bewildered and shocked from the crushing news, obeyed without question. Gombe scrambled in after him. He took the wheel and, with one quick glance about, started off down the street. The station on this side was practically deserted, and no one saw the car depart. "Where is Nancy?" Mr. Drew demanded. "At my house." "At your house?" Mr. Drew asked in surprise. "Didn't they take her to a hospital?" "She was too badly injured to be moved," Nathan explained glibly. "Oh, my poor little girl," Carson Drew murmured brokenly. A moment later he said, "You didn't tell me how she was hurt." "In an automobile accident. Her roadster ran off into a ditch." "And she was taken to your place?" Mr. Drew did not like the look on Nathan Gombe's face. Was the man deceiving him? No, it was more likely he was trying to keep Nancy's true condition from him.
Perhaps she had been so seriously injured that she was practically at the point of death. The thought nearly drove him wild. "The accident occurred in front of my house," Gombe continued, trying to make his explanation appear plausible. "The doctor brought her inside. And Nancy was always such a safe driver, too. I didn't see the accident myself, but they say the steering gear broke. Tell me, will she live? I can't tell you that." The drive, though not a long one, seemed endless to Carson Drew. Nancy, his daughter, his little girl. The widowed father and the motherless girl were very close to each other. In what condition would he find her when he reached the end of this soul-trying drive? Was she conscious? Was she alive? He turned impatiently to Nathan Gombe. "Hurry," Mr. Drew urged. "I can't get there quickly enough." "The car won't go any faster," Gombe grunted. And indeed, it would not. Gombe was already driving as fast as he dared. Carson Drew was so worried that he asked no more questions, but kept his eyes glued upon the road. Gombe drove furiously, and they soon reached the outskirts of Cliffwood. Presently, they came within sight of 2 large stone houses, and Nathan Gombe turned in at one of them. "I live here," he explained. Carson Drew did not so much as give the house a casual glance. The instant the car stopped, he sprang to the ground and started for the door. Quick as he was, Nathan Gombe was ahead of him.
"It's okay. He's not coming for you."
He opened the door for the lawyer and led the way through the kitchen, where a fat, slovenly-looking black woman was working over the stove. Hi, Blocotone. Had Mr. Drew not been intent upon reaching the bedside of his daughter, he would have observed that the woman received a significant nod from Nathan Gombe as he passed near her.
"Hi, what's up?"
Just full disclosure, the actual, and if you're reading along, you can see this. In this 1930s manuscript, it is using the term colored woman. Sometimes I do, just in cases, like sometimes I do quick, like on the fly little edits that don't change the meaning of the text. Like I'm not, but yeah. Anyways, that's the full disclosure. Okay. The moment the 2 men had passed into the next room, she walked over and quietly locked the outside door. "This way," Nathan directed. He opened a door and indicated a long, dark stairway. Without hesitation, Carson Drew followed him. He went up a flight of circular stairs and at last came to a landing. Nathan paused and indicated a door to the left. "Your daughter's in there," he said. There was an eager, cruel gleam in his eyes, but Carson Drew did not notice. "It won't frighten her for me to go right in?" the lawyer asked anxiously. "No, it won't frighten her." Hesitating no longer, Carson Drew opened the door and stepped inside. To his surprise, the room was dark. The curtains were pulled down over the windows, and at first he could see nothing. Then, as his eyes became accustomed to the darkness, he saw that he was not in a bedroom. The place had every appearance of a prison. Carson Drew realized that he had walked into a trap. He wheeled about and faced Nathan Gombe, who stood in the doorway, eyeing him, gloating upon him. "What does this mean?" he demanded sharply. "Where is Nancy?" "It means that you are my prisoner," Gombe retorted with an evil leer. "Before I get through with you, I guess you'll come to terms about that property." With that, he slammed the door shut, and before Carson Drew could make a move, turned the key in the lock. As the old miser trudged down the corridor,
His hollow laughter echoed through the house. End of chapter. Oh no! No! Carson's a prisoner of Gumby. Oh dear. This is no good at all. Artax, thank you for the 300 biddies. Oh, and you wanted to see the pigs. They're not doing much. They're chatty, but they're just chilling. We must go on. I don't know about another one. I mean, we're about halfway through the book. Maybe a bit over halfway. I imagine most chapters are going to feel like a bit of a cliffhanger at this point. So, what the heck? Sorry. Nathan Gombe has become Gumby. Yeah. This is just our little nickname for him. Yeah, but I think that is a decent... Oh, damn it, I left this on again. Okay. Now, obviously it's my responsibility to remember. However, Sean, if in the future, and I'll post about this in the mod channel, but anyone actually, if you notice me start reading and I've still got this on the screen, can you scream at me and be like, turn off the overlay? Because I want to, and I keep forgetting. But I would, and then when we go back into the other one to turn on the overlay, just if I forget and you notice, honestly, anyone in chat can remind me. I would appreciate that. Yeah, oh my goodness, I'm enjoying this book so far. So, our next stream is on Sunday night. Sean's not been updating Beans? For how long? Logotone? Oh my goodness, thank you for the 1,000 bits. Thank you, Logotone. Oh my gosh. Holy moly. Thank you. That is so nice of you. Damn. Hoping to see the PC number go up. You are so sweet. We are getting close to the next unlock, which is great. You'll have Robin Hood on loop for sleep tonight. Heck yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, if any of you are able to like just play some playlists, that's always helpful. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. We are going to end the YouTube stream. We will keep going for a little bit longer on Twitch. I don't know if I'll be going live on the other YouTube channel tonight. Just because I do have a headache setting in. So, but I might, we'll see. But either way, we'll be going a bit longer on Twitch. Thank you so much, though, for everyone who has watched on YouTube, whether you were just dropping a lurk while, really watching on Twitch, or whether you were over here chatting or found me organically through YouTube. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, consider dropping a like, consider subscribing to the channel. That would mean so much. You've watched Val's Carmilla reading a half dozen times. Oh my gosh, R-Tags, I'm so glad you like it. It's such a good story. Oh my god. James, my pleasure. Sleep well, James. But yeah, we will be back with more Nancy Drew on Sunday night. And if you want to make sure to be catching all of the content, including the ASMR triggers and more casual chit chat and such, then make sure you're following the Twitch stream. But yes, alright, good night to YouTube. Good night. Oh, yes, see you on Twitch.